ครับMabuhay, good morning. Hola. Hi, all the fans. How are you? Today I present you a very wonderful live program, but it's in the morning because my special guest, which is Savannah Bethea, Miss South Carolina, Earth USA 2022, has been on the other end in USA. So we're going to go through her story and her advocacy and everything that you want to know. So let's come with me to explore what she's going to contribute for you, all my fans worldwide tonight in USA and today in Asia. So how are you, Savannah? Please say hi to all the fans and tell a little bit of yourself to all everyone who want to know you and waiting for you for so long.
Well, hello to you, and hello to everyone watching. I'm Savannah Bethea, Miss South Carolina Earth. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for joining this live and listening to what we're going to talk about today. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited for this interview.
All right. I'm really excited too because once I learned your bio, you very thorough on what you're doing and very capable indeed. So all the fans, I warn you, okay, it's going to be very entertaining and very substantive and probably a little bit lengthy because I try to cover all she has been doing as well. That's plenty. That's plenty. Okay. So, Savannah, you 27 years old, and also currently you an artist. I think is it?
Yes, I'm a visual artist. I focus mainly in oil painting and metal sculpture. I use welding to create metal sculpture, and I also use repurposed materials to create my sculptures.
Right, okay. Before we get there, I probably would love to go back a little bit to your childhood, okay, your education, and your foundations that led you to your interest and advocacy as Miss South Carolina Earth today.
So just start talking about my childhood.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised here in South Carolina. We had a family farm that our dad would take us out to every weekend where we could just run and play and climb trees. So I've been surrounded by nature as long as I can remember. And when you're surrounded by something, you really develop an emotional attachment to it. And that's how I've been about nature, spending so much time in it. I just really fell in love with it. And when you love something, you always want to protect it. So from an early age, I've really loved the environment and what's around me, and felt a strong sense of responsibility to protect it. I went to a very small school. My graduating class was only 30 people. The town I'm from is a farm town, so lots of nature, not a lot of big city, not a lot of buildings or anything. So a very country lifestyle. Let's see, my father is a lawyer and my mom was in advertising. And I kind of developed a love of art. And I was also a gymnast. So I spent a lot of my time either training for gymnastics or making art or spending time on my family farm out in nature.
Wow. Oh, that's impressed me because according to you, your parents tend to perform professionally in the you know pro, sophisticated society or the world, as a lawyer and advertising. But why your life actually very close to nature? So how do you get your life balance between both things in the world of nature, which is like very natural, original, but in the same time with your parents who actually very worldly wise.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an excellent balance to have parents to teach me about the kind of more sophisticated world and then also spend time in the natural world. I'm really lucky. As I said, we have a family farm that we spend a lot of time on. So, of course, I was surrounded by the wisdom of my parents and also the wisdom that you learn when you spend time in nature around Mother Earth.
Right. Are you an animal lover?
Oh, yes, I love animals. I actually have two cats myself, two pet cats. One's name is Rosie, and then I actually have her daughter, and her name is Ethel, and they're my babies. I love them so much. I love all kinds of animals, and I really wish I could have more animals, but I don't exactly have the lifestyle to give, like a dog, the space that it needs to run. But one day, if I'm in that position, I would love to get a dog. But right now, it's just me and my cats.
Wow. Okay. So I'm wondering. I mean, when you fall in love with the idea of earth preservation,
Pardon, could you repeat that?
yes, I would love to know when did you start interested in kind of earth preservation and earth conservation.
It was around high school
Mm,
when I created Jeans for Teens originally. And the first goal was to collect quality items to give to teenagers in need. They were getting a lot of um, bad condition clothing donated to them, and I wanted to give them something that was good quality. And in collecting that, I ended up getting a lot of pieces of clothing that were not good quality that could not be donated to these teenagers in need in a respectful way. So I started doing some research about what I could do with this denim and make sure that I don't throw it away and end it up in a landfill. And that's when I started learning that there are programs and things I can participate in. And I can take this charitable project that I've been working on and turn it into an environmental one and help both people and our planet. That's something I really believe in. I think that helping people and helping our planet work best as a common goal.
mm.
So through that project, that really kickstarted my love of the environment and my want to be an advocate for the environment.
Right, and also I read your bio, and you're very into like reusable material. Uh-huh. So why you chose this matter as your advocacy or as your main interest? By the way.
I think because it's something that I saw firsthand. When I started collecting the clothing for the teenagers in need, I saw just how much clothing is going to end up in a landfill because I was seeing the product that I wasn't going to be able to donate. And at that time, before my research, the only option would be to discard that textile. But that didn't seem right. So I did some research on what I could do with it. And that's when I started collecting. And the more I saw, the more textiles I saw that were going to be headed for the landfill had they not been donated to Jeans for Teens, the more I was aware of how big a problem textile waste is. And a lot of people don't necessarily think of clothing as trash or as waste, but it's a huge problem. And of course, the fast fashion industry, we all talk about that and how harmful it is. And that's a really big contributing factor to why textile waste is one of the fastest growing categories of landfill waste. So that's actually the reason for me.
Right. So you actually initiate Gene for Teen advocacy, and it has spread to 10 states around US. Is it? So I love your project. It's very powerful, and it's quite new for me when I read. So why might you explain a little bit about its contribution to the community and the society, like turning the denim scrap into something very useful for the household.
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned, originally the project was to donate to kids in need, and that's still a part of the project. I do believe that helping people and helping the planet are a common goal. Um, but in addition to that, once we've collected all the denim and we've sorted it out, if it isn't donated, then it is sent to a company who can take this denim that no longer has a use and turn it into sustainable home insulation and
Mm,
thermal packaging for food and pharmaceutical shipment. And
mm,
that insulation can be recycled over and over again. And that's what gets me really excited about this project is because the denim that I save enters into a permanent life cycle of use, meaning it's going to stay out of the landfill for hopefully forever. So
Mm,
that's one of the most impactful parts of the project. But I also have some other implements built in. I really find it important to get teenagers involved in environmental efforts because as a teenager, I was not approached with an opportunity to do my part in the environment, and I wasn't educated on the environment or what's happening to our planet. So I really wanted to offer that to teenagers. So I have an ambassadorship program that's built into Jeans for Teens, where teenagers in other counties can create their own mini Jeans for Teens drive and then donate the quality items to the local teenagers in need in their local areas and send the
mm,
rest to me. And it really teaches them how to create and execute a project for the issues that they care about personally, but it also helps really ignite a spark to care about the environment for the younger generation because they are the future. I also have an art show that I'm planning where I'm creating a piece of art from some of the denim I've collected, and I'm inviting other artists that create pieces of art by rethinking the way that they recycle. I have a woman who's made an entire opera gown out of unused opera tickets, another guy who's created a sculpture out of Amazon boxes because he orders so many throughout the year, and it's going to make a statement about the waste issue in our country, but also how you can get creative with how you recycle and use those things for art. Repurpose the materials around you as often as possible.
mm. Right. So, Savannah, mind you, if I would like to know about sort of the cost, I don't want to know about exact figure. I'm wondering because it has to go through a lot of process until we get a new material as a reusable one. So, I guess the cost would be quite exorbitant. Is it?
The cost of turning the denim into
Yes.
insulation.
Yeah, that's right.
It isn't of any cost to me or the Jeans for Teens organization. This company that creates the installation operates with the goal of just creating a better environmental future. I believe that a lot of what they run is on donations and nonprofit. Um,
Mm.
but they really operate with the goal of just creating an environmental future that is positive and hopeful.
Right. Okay. You got a very, very gracious partner. Okay. Congratulations. So it's very so how far has been going? Would it be well received over there?
Has my project been well received?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I found that so many people are so excited to participate, and a lot of people think it's a really creative idea they haven't heard before. And I think creativity inspires people. When people get a chance to do something new, they really want to participate. So I really haven't had trouble getting people to get involved. Also, what's been really amazing is I also partnered with two denim companies here in the States that create blue jeans. And
Mm,
they have donated the scraps left over from the production of their blue jeans. So we've got pre-consumer waste and post-consumer waste covered in the project. But when I initially contacted these companies, they were so excited to get involved. They really loved the idea of implementing an environmental aspect to their business.
wow. Wow. So I mean, have you sort of go on like advertising on the main media for your project?
Yes, that's actually how I've really gotten the word out. A lot of it was phone calls and emails and visiting businesses, but I use social media to my advantage as much as possible. A lot of people have asked me if I have a website, and I'm actually in the process of creating a website, but mostly I run the project through my Miss South Carolina Earth Instagram page. I found that so many people are more willing to communicate on Instagram, and especially the national companies that I've been able to work with. They're huge companies. They're so much bigger than me. I'm just one woman running this project, but Instagram kind of creates a level playing field, which is amazing. Perhaps an email or a phone call, they wouldn't make time for me, but Instagram, because it is more casual, they replied to my comments and my request to speak to them. And that's actually how I got the meetings with them, is through Instagram. So I've really been utilizing social media to get the word out and to create partners in the project.
Wow, wow. Uh, so all the fans, uh, It just start, okay? So how do you feel? She's very knowledgeable on what she's doing. I'm very impressed. So mind you, Savannah, say hi to some of fans first, and then we will reconnect with the with the substance you're going to tell all the fans. Okay, start with Thai fans. Okay, hello, Savannah and me. Okay, her name is Ngok. She is very respectable admin page of Thailand. Okay, her name is Ngok. Might you say hi to her, please?
What was her name?
Ngok,
Law. Did I say that
Ngok,
right?
Ngok,
Law.
Ngok. Yeah.
Hi, Law. Thank you so much for coming by to watch this live. I'm so excited to have you here. Um,
Mm.
and hello to all the other fans out there watching. I really appreciate you guys being here to listen to us talk about, the things we care about within the environment.
Right. That's true. That's true. Okay. So, Kun Alija, also say hi to you. He also from Thailand. Uh-huh.
Hi,
And
Elijah.
and Adrian said you probably the next Miss Earth USA.
Thank you, Adrian. That is so kind of you. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Adrian. Amco, thank you for watching and coming in. Okay. And also, this guy from Thailand, Kun Thanapon. Okay. He said, oh, boom.
Hi.
Also, this Filipinos residing in Taiwan, my fans, definitely looking forward for you to be in Miss Earth pageant. Wow! So she
Thank you.
may mention the possibility that you're going to win. Okay, and also Aaron from Indonesia. Might you call out his name?
Hi, Aaron. Thank you so much for coming by and watching this. It means so much to me.
All right, thank you. Okay, what about picking some question from fans, Savannah?
Okay.
Okay, right. How have you drawn inspiration from previous Miss Earth USA queens, such as Lindsay and Melissa?
There's so many ways that Lindsay and Marissa have inspired me. Marissa once said that she wants to be remembered as the queen that did the work. And that is such a beautiful statement because for me, that's the point of the Miss Earth USA pageant and the Miss Earth pageant is a woman that will do the work that it takes to move towards a more environmentally friendly future. I
Mm,
definitely take a nod for her and Lindsay on that and how important doing the work is. And also, they're so informed and they're so well researched. And I think that's really set them apart on the international stage. So I've made sure to educate myself and never stop educating myself. You really cannot learn enough. You can't have enough knowledge, especially about our environment. So I follow their lead on both of those. They both inspired me so much to make sure that I'm setting a high standard for myself. If I want to be an ecological leader in the Miss Earth system, I have to make sure I am doing the work and doing the research and being a knowledgeable advocate for the environment.
right. Okay. I would love to get your personal view. Okay, on the problem of environment in USA first. Okay. So, what do you think is the actual root cause or the main problem which cause to environment in general in USA?
I think that it's no secret that we as human beings, we as Americans, are the problem. We still have so many people in the States that doubt the existence of climate change. They don't even believe that it's happening. So many people that are aware it's happening, they believe it's happening, but they're still choosing not to make any changes in their own lives to be more sustainable. We also
Mm,
have companies and corporations that don't take our planet into consideration. They value their profit over the planet, they value their profit over the people.
mm,
So, the number one issue in America is us as Americans and the way we treat this earth and our lack of action when it comes to developing a meaningful plan to help
mm,
improve the environment as
mm.
Americans.
Right. And also, from your school year, according to your bio, you actually wrote letters to the political bodies such as senator and South Carolina representative. So, oh, that's amazed me. I would love to know, what did what did you write to ask them for change?
Well, I did. I wrote to my local senator. When I was doing the research that I mentioned, making sure that I'm informed, I wanted to know specifically what is South Carolina's plan of action for the future when it comes to the environment. And I found an article on the state paper, and the title was South Carolina has no plan of action for the environment. No plan
Mm,
of action. And that was really discouraging. I know that the South Carolina people were really stepping up. There's a lot of organizations that are doing their part to help improve the environment in our state and nationwide. But as far as a government plan in the state, we don't have a plan. So I wrote to my senator asking him to create legislation and help promote legislation in our state that requires companies to be more green and promotes a more green lifestyle and helps us be a part of the solution to becoming a more green country and not continue to be part of the problem.
right. So how is going now in South Carolina? I mean, would the government section really aware of the increasing problem in the environment portion in USA now? Not in USA, in South Carolina especially.
I do, yes, the government in South Carolina is aware of the environmental issues. I think it
Mm,
comes down to politics.
mm,
There are so many of the climate change doubters in my state, and I think politicians, they would rather say things and do things that please the people that will vote for them that keeps them in office, not necessarily making decisions that actually improve the government. You know what I mean? I see you laughing. You get it. So, yeah, that's the issue is they're just not, they really get lost. I believe that a lot of politicians start out caring, wanting to make a difference, and then they get caught up on winning and just staying in office, and they do what they have to do to make that happen. And they're not
mm,
willing to risk possibly losing if it means implementing meaningful change for the environment.
right. I'm laughing because it's true.
Yeah.
And I really love your, straightforwardness. I wouldn't expect that you're going to say, very frankly, okay, and on the truth. But it's true. It's true. I totally agree. So, what about if you can lay down the policy and have power in your hands? So, what kind of change or what kind of initiative that you would like to implement? Okay, in your constituent area to make a change for a better environment.
I'd love to see, this is something that's really important to me. I would love to see sustainable choices be more affordable and accessible to people that are at just above and just below the poverty line. We do have a high percentage of people living in that range of their socioeconomic status here. And it is so hard to make sustainable choices when you don't have a certain amount of money. So
Yeah.
often those choices are really only available to people
Mm,
that have X amount of money. So I really want to see them work to bring choices to people that don't have much money so they can help be a part of the problem. We need to implement everyone that we have, including people that don't necessarily have as many resources. I'd also like to see better protection of our natural resources. We
mm,
have, like I mentioned, we have a lot of organizations that protect areas in our state by themselves through nonprofit and through donations and funding. But I
mm,
want to see them step in and prevent the commercialization of certain lands that we really need to protect. And also take it seriously when we trust a company that
mm,
uses chemicals, toxic waste, when they
mm,
can't be responsible with that, when they have leaks, when their toxic waste is getting into our groundwater, it should
mm,
be it should be a one-shot deal. If you mess up, then you shouldn't be allowed to practice anymore. You shouldn't be allowed to operate in that way anymore. And I've
mm,
seen companies that have had this issue where they work with so many chemicals and they put them into these pools in the ground that are supposed to be lined so that this toxicity can't get into our groundwater, but they leak. and they kind of find them and then let
Mm,
them keep going and trying again. And the damage is done, and a lot of it can't be reversed. And then they're allowed to keep, they're allowed to keep this business going in this manner. And I don't think that that's fair or responsible or ethically right. And I would love to see legislation that stepped in and said something and did something about the companies and the way they operate so that we can require that they be considerate of the planet when they're operating their businesses.
So, I'm wondering, would those business compensate for the damage they done to the community, like pay higher tax or set up some initiative that repair,
That's
to
yeah.
measure that they damaged?
Yeah, that's a great point. That should be absolutely implemented is when companies do have these mess ups, they should be um, paying to fix, if at all possible, what they've caused, but also higher taxes because it is such a dangerous.
Mm,
These companies operate in such a dangerous manner that the risk is almost inevitable. So I think higher taxes is such a great idea.
mm. Right. Okay. So, if any enterprise watching our program now, they might, oh my goodness, this lady initiate higher tax for them. So I mean, what about if when you you know progress on your advocacy and you find some resistance, okay, and especially from someone higher. So would you be discouraged and step back from what you project to do, or would you still going to pursue what is right?
Well, I'm often motivated when I become frustrated. A lot of people become discouraged when they're frustrated, but for me, the more frustrated I get, the more I'm going to fight. And I really think that's a part of it is to expect resistance. That's why we say we are fighting for climate change because it's not easy. And I expect to be met with resistance and I expect to have to push back. And I plan on doing that in a respectful way, but also in a firm way that lets them know we want action now. We want to see change now. We really are running out of time, but we have hope. And if we work together, we can save the planet.
Right. And also, might you just give me some idea because when I go through quite several contestants, not only in USA but around the world, uh, they tend to focus on like upcycling process, reusable material. So, what do you think is your like outstanding point as set yourself apart from other amazing contestants from your
From
advocacy?
other contestants in general or other contestants that are focusing on textiles?
No, no, but they also like focusing on reusable material as well.
I think what sets me apart is when I got into this, I told myself that the work I do needs to be meaningful. It needs to really create an impact. I don't want to just do enough. I don't want to just do the bare minimum. And every time I've accomplished one small goal in my project, that's motivated me to go to the next step and do more. I think that approach really sets me apart to never be satisfied. There is not enough work that we can do to save this planet. And that's how I've approached it. Every time I accomplish something, I have to move forward. And that's created so much growth. And to me, the more growth there is, the more impact there is. And I think that really sets me apart.
Right. And also, all the fans, Savannah also very, involved very much to her community. Like, she used to clean up Glendale, show nature preserve. So, how often have you done this to your national park inside your area or outside your area?
I initially decided that I was going to start going out to the Glendale Shoals Nature Preserve and cleaning up litter once a month. But
Mm,
it only took about one cleanup before I kind of decided that I was going to go out there as often as possible. So it became about twice a month and sometimes three times a month.
mm,
And I wanted to make sure that I was getting the trash that hikers were leaving behind, But I also realized there was so much trash in the water itself. So every time it rained, all of this trash that I couldn't find the last time I was there to clean up suddenly washes up on shore. So I wanted to be there to make sure that I was getting up all this trash off the shore so that it wasn't getting back into the water, and spending as much time out there as I could to really make a huge impact. And I did. It was so amazing to be a part of the cleanup for Glendale Shoals because I cleaned up over 400 pounds of litter from the preserve by myself as a one man clean team, or a one woman clean team, I should say. And that really showed me that one person can absolutely make a difference. If you put in the time and you put in the effort, when you look around, you'll see the change that you created. And I think that's such an inspirational thought because if every person felt that way, put in the time and the effort for something they cared about within the environment, we could make such a huge change.
Okay, it's very inspirational indeed. Oh, might you reveal the secret how you handle it by yourself, and also how you carry or actually accumulate 400 pounds of waste by yourself? Okay, how long would it take? So I think if you can tell all the secrets to our audience, so it can inspire probably the youth to go along with you, okay, by themselves.
So, what I did to be able to remove that much litter by myself is we have an amazing sponsor for Miss Earth USA called Garbo Grabber, and it's a clamp that you can use that helps you pick up the trash in a sanitary way. And we also have trash baggers that hold the bags open for us, and I would go around with that. Now, a lot of cleanups that people do, they're picking up paper, cans, and plastic bottles. I was picking up an immense amount of glass bottles, huge pieces of glass. Sometimes I would come away from Glendale with maybe one trash bag full of aluminum and plastic and paper, and three or four trash bags filled with nothing but glass. So in one cleanup, I can get more than 100 pounds of litter. So I've surpassed 400 pounds, and it did not take very long for me to get it. Now, after one bag is full, I would drag it over to my car and leave it there and get the next bag and start. So all I had to do was get it into my trunk and then get it home so that I could start sorting out what was recyclable and what was actually waste. But as far as weight, it really wasn't that hard because I broke it up into bags. But the reason why I was able to get so much is because of the massive amount of glass and also metal parts that were out there. I found pieces of car. I also found like entire curtains and entire sheets and shoes and dresses. I mean, it was not your standard litter that you see at your local park from people hiking and having picnics. I mean, this is true waste that was dumped into the water source, that just is washing up in such huge amounts. So, collecting it weight wise wasn't difficult for me to carry around the way I broke it up, but I feel like anyone can do this. Anyone can get out there. I'm not the biggest person in the world or the strongest person in the world, and I was able to do it. So I encourage you to give it a try. If you struggle, find a friend, find a partner, enlist your community, and have them help you come clean up your area.
Right. And also, I think some would be inspired by your story and your effort. But anyway, if someone still uncertain about their capability to follow your trail, so might you give some uplifting for them to follow you?
Pardon? Could you ask that again?
Like, because you have done a lot on your advocacy to the earth, I think it's very inspirational, and especially the youth, whoever would like to follow you but still uncertain of their capability to do all this by themselves. Would you have any kind message to inspire them to follow your trail?
To inspire the youth?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. For the youth, it's your future. It's your world. You're really going to be, as unfair as it is, facing the most, I guess, setbacks from the negative impact that humans have had on this world. And you're leading the way. And we've seen you step up. And as teenagers, you're not too young to make a difference. And you're not too young to get an adult to listen to you. So do your research, speak up, and whenever possible, do your part. Even if that just means recycling in your own home. Maybe your family doesn't recycle. Bring that to your family and try to implement that in the people in your lives. as often as possible. You can make a difference, however small. Every little bit of effort really makes a huge difference.
Wow.
Thank you.
So, Savannah, and also, you can play music and sing a song. Might you sing a song a little bit to wake up some of fans in
Oh my
Asia?
God. You're putting me on the spot here. All right. Let me get a sip of my drink. I haven't warmed up at all.
That's okay. That's okay.
But you know, I've
Just
been waiting on this. I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting on an interview to ask me to sing in an interview. I knew if I went around saying, I love to sing, eventually I was going to have to do it in an interview. All right. Gosh, I hope disappoint. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water and I think of all the things like what you're doing. And in my head, I paint a picture.
wow.
So embarrassed.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, also, Savannah, I really interesting about the profession as an artist. Okay, and so far you has been curating some art, gallery at the moment. So, might you tell other fans have what have you been doing at the moment with the art?
Yes, the most recent thing I'm working towards in the arts is this art show that is focused around the idea of rethinking recycling. This idea actually really came from my days in welding.
Mm,
I learned to weld and I learned to make metal sculpture, and the metal that it takes to make that sculpture is so expensive, especially for a student. So we would
mm,
take group trips to the scrapyard and repurpose this scrap metal that had been thrown away. It was trash to someone else, but it was a valuable material that we could make use of to us. And that idea of being creative and recycling at the same time really stuck with me. And then during my cleanups, as I mentioned, I've collected so much glass from Glendale Shoals Nature Preserve. And on my drive back to my home, I pass a neighbor of mine who has sculptures in her yard that are made from glass and glass bottles. And I got the idea, I was like, instead of recycling these the normal way, I wonder if she would like to have these glass bottles to create art with. And
mm,
then a light bulb kind of just went on. I was like, that would be an amazing art show to have people like her who make work with recycled glass bottles, and the woman who makes the opera dress out of opera tickets that I mentioned. And I have another printmaker who prints on repurposed textiles. I'll be making a sculpture from denim. So that's really what I'm focusing on. I love the idea of bringing the community together for art, but also kind of educating them as well. They get to enjoy these pieces that we've made as art, but the art itself makes a statement about recycling. You look at the piece and you know it's made entirely from pieces that are saved from ending up in a landfill. And I think that's so inspiring. And also, as an artist, when you use a found piece of material, you have to sacrifice a little bit of your control over the
mm,
piece. Instead of getting to decide exactly what materials you're going to get and exactly what size and all of that, you have to work with what you find. And that brings out so much creativity in yourself. You think of things you never would have thought of on your own. So
mm.
I'm really looking forward to the community seeing this project and sharing it on Instagram for all of you to see. And hopefully it'll inspire you in your own lives to look around with what you have. What looks like trash? What do you really think you can't make use of? And decide how you can make art with it.
So, do you have any small piece next to you? Um, your artwork from
I
that's from reusable material. Because when I got explained by you just a moment, I think, oh wow, it's just very creative and just amazing creation indeed. I mean, I couldn't fathom how it look like. I think it's going to be very, very thorough process until get one creation. So what about the cost?
The
I,
cost.
yeah, I mean, like, if some patrons really buy your idea and would love to conserve the earth, by patronizing your art piece. I just wondering, would the price is higher than than the one made of usual material.
Would the price of my denim sculpture be higher than a metal
Yeah,
sculpture?
yeah, that's right.
With the denim sculpture, I haven't even thought about selling it or setting a price to it. I really just want to display it. I may even donate it. I really want that piece I create to be something that people look at and get inspired and help them think about the way they recycle in their own lives, but also get their gears turning about the level and the amount of waste that we're creating in this country. I think that these pieces will draw a lot of attention to that.
Oh, you are very selfless indeed. Right, right. So, also, I love to know about your role as a woman, okay, for the environment improvement nowadays. So, do you think that being artist and also being a woman would get the environment problem in a better situation?
I definitely think being an artist is an advantage. I've mentioned this in other interviews because it's just really something I believe in. I think that creativity and innovation is absolutely necessary for us to see real change in the future for our environment because we need new ideas, we need things we've never tried before to really create a meaningful difference. Obviously, what we've been doing isn't really working as well as we'd hoped. So it's going to take that creativity and that innovation and people that have that kind of mind and think that way to really help create inventions and come up with the engineering we need to change the future in the way that we want to see.
Right. So, your advocacy quite advanced. So, what about if some of your fans in Asia would love your idea, but if how do you spread your message across the globe to Asia?
Well, I think I've been really great at connecting with groups. Right now, I'm working on growing Jeans for Teens to the rest of the country, and it's going really well. And once I can make that a nationwide initiative, I think that I wouldn't have very much trouble bringing it to an international level because textile waste is something that is affecting so many countries, and landfills are in so many areas of the world. We all wear clothes. This is all something we can be a part of when it comes to being the solution. If I'm lucky enough to be Miss Earth USA, that comes with so many resources that you can use to make your project and what you care about for the environment grow. And then if you're even luckier and you get to be Miss Earth, that comes with international resources. And I think through my project, I've really demonstrated that I can get the attention of larger companies and people bigger than me and get them to see me as an equal and want to help. I think I really have a knack for that and a talent for that. And I know that as I move from the state level to the national level, hopefully the international level, that I'll be able to take those same skills and use them to help grow the project and grow my missions and the mission of Miss Earth in general.
Wow, wow. So tell me then, would pandemic COVID-19 deter or actually drive you toward your goal?
Did the pandemic drive me towards my goal?
Yes.
It definitely put me in a position to be able to get more work done, which I really appreciate. So that was amazing. But also, it forces you to think in a different way because you can't be in contact as often. And that's what's been great about Jeans for Teens is it's something I've been able to do remotely. All these projects can spread out, and you don't have to be involved. Even if a church group or a cheerleading team wanted to take on the project, that cheerleading team could work on this project each individually from home remotely. They wouldn't have to meet. So this project is great one day when we're able to meet in groups again. And it also works excellent in a remote fashion. So I think that it's really versatile in that way to where COVID really hasn't hindered it and it hasn't changed how effective it can be.
Right. I really love your answer. Very intelligent. It's hard answer. It's hard question. Okay. It's probably a short question, but it's hard. Okay. Thank you indeed for your answer. It's really nice. Very intelligent indeed. So also, in sort of politics, would you like, if anything, you would like to see? Okay, in the like broader. in the broader sphere, okay, about environment change in USA or in in the global level.
That I'd like to see. I would love to see us work on global warming and all of the things that we're doing that contribute to the rate at which our climate is heating up. The ice caps are melting and the sea levels are rising. And so my state of South Carolina is particularly vulnerable. A lot of scientists believe by the year 2030, um,
Mm,
the town of Charleston, South Carolina, will be completely underwater, as well as several other southern cities. And I was actually doing some research on Thailand as well. And I saw
mm,
that scientists there expect between the next 40 to 100 years of you would lose so much coast that 17% of the Thai population would be
yes.
affected. That's 11 million people that would be
Mm,
affected by rising sea levels. So this is something that is really particular to my state and really concerns me, but I see it happening for so many other countries. Amsterdam is a city that's going to be also impacted. They expect that one to possibly be underwater by 2030 if we don't act. So I'm really concerned about that, not only for the loss of homes, the loss of land, but for me, in South Carolina, Charleston it holds a lot of our history. So we would be losing a bit of ourselves, a bit of our history. And I'm sure that on the coast in Thailand, you have a lot of history that you would hate to lose should the rising sea level swallow up part of the country. So I'm really concerned about that, and I really want to see more action on that.
right. Okay. What about if I would love you to propose couple steps toward the solution of global warming in general? Okay. So might you show me your vision?
Okay, absolutely. Well, for me, textile waste is a piece of how I'm contributing to that solution. Greenhouse gases are produced when textiles break down in landfills. They release methane, which is more harmful than carbon. That's my fun fact I love to share with everyone because it's so important for them to hear. So every time we release greenhouse gases, that's what's affecting the global warming. The gases are contributing to the rate at which the earth is heating. So
Mm,
implementing things like Jeans for Teens and also getting our government involved to create legislation where we're cutting down on greenhouse gases as often as possible is really the number one thing we need to do. Now, greenhouse gases come from so many different issues, and so many different products can contribute to that. And it's very broad, but in my way, in the role of Miss Earth USA, if I'm lucky enough to win, that would be how I would contribute to the solution is continue to grow the textile waste reduction project so that I can help reduce the amount of methane being released into our atmosphere.
right. Uh-huh. So would you agree to charge more tax on the enterprise that emit the pollution?
Gordon, what's the question?
I mean, would you agree on someone proposing to add more tax, add higher tax on the enterprise whoever emit higher pollution?
I'm so sorry. I'm not understanding the question. I
Uh,
apologize.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, do you agree that someone's initiative that okay, the more you emit pollution to the earth, the higher tax you should be, accountable for?
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. I've heard people talk about this before. I think that makes total sense. If you're a company in America and you're impacting the environment in a negative way more than this company or this individual, I think it makes total sense that you would pay a higher tax to kind of help counteract that or help us have more funds to be able to use towards environmental research.
Right. Also, um, what would you counter for someone who's still believing that global warming is a hoax?
I always say that I would show them the research. I believe that a lot of people that don't believe in global warming don't have the right information. You couldn't possibly. If you don't believe that climate change is real, you just don't have the right facts. So I would love to present them with the proper facts. But I also think a way to get people to believe it, if you can't get them to see the detriment that's happening, maybe you can
Mm,
get them to see the change. If you can get them to get involved in an effort, they will
mm,
see the change that what they're doing can create. If you can prove that these environmental actions create change, that in itself will show them that this is real. And I know that that's difficult to do, but I've seen people that are not enthusiastic about environmental work start
Mm,
doing it. And after a while, they really become passionate about it because they're invested in the work and they see that they themselves got to make a difference in their community and their environment. I organized a cleanup with a cheerleading squad in Sumter, South Carolina, and their coach signed them on to do this and helped, agree to create this cleanup. And they weren't necessarily very enthusiastic to be there. It was a Saturday and they wanted to be at home sleeping. They were teenagers. So that we started the cleanup 20 minutes in, these girls' attitude completely changed. They were having fun, they were excited, they were asking questions, and they were learning about the environment. And I saw that day a spark for the environment really get ignited in these teenagers. So I think that's an excellent way to help people see the change that they can create. And once they see that change, they'll understand that we do have a climate issue. And of course, when they have the proper research, the science is undeniable.
right. So, would you agree that now, I mean, throughout the world, we should like insert more environmental study, okay, as a prime education for all the kids?
I absolutely do. I don't think it's necessarily fair to send these kids out into the world without the knowledge they're going to need to help fight climate change and fight for our planet. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's so scary, and I want to know that the next generation under me is armed with the information they need to take action when they become adults.
Right. Um, what I noticed, um, a lot of people who live by the nature tend to understand how important that we should be earth conscious. But what about someone who actually have a city the city lifestyle? I would love to know, have you ever noticed or compare about the lifestyle between one who live in the city and one who live by the nature like you, and especially how would you convince, if you have a chance, someone who actually living in the very sophisticated lifestyle to buy your idea, or actually to to help promote environmental cause more,
Well, to
because they
answer your first question, I
yeah.
really only know one person that lives in a big city, and that's my Uncle Dan. He lives in New York City, and he is one of the most environmentally conscious people I know. He is
Mm,
so meticulous about his recycling.
mm,
He's so meticulous about the products that he buys.
mm,
So as far as my own experience with people in the city, he's the only one I know, and I've seen him be so responsible. I don't think that your environment necessarily makes you more environmental or not, but I do agree that growing up in nature definitely gives you a stronger emotional attachment to the natural world, and with that comes a natural sense of wanting to protect it. And if you could just repeat the second part to your question, that would be great.
yep, that's okay. I'm asking, okay, like, if you said that your uncle is the only who actually have a city lifestyle, who very vigilant on conserving the earth, so I assume that there's a lot of people who are not well aware, okay, of the environmental problem in the city. So uh, do you have any approach that's convinced them to be more aware of conserving the earth?
Um, People that live in the city, especially in New York, you have to have a certain amount of money to live in those areas. So I think that making them aware that that their money is not something that is going to protect them from the effects of climate change. There
Mm,
isn't anything that makes you so affluent and so
mm,
above that you can't be affected by the world getting so hot that our bodies can't stand the temperatures. That's the thing about climate change, is nobody can outrun it. It doesn't care what your gender is. It doesn't care about your socioeconomic status. It's going to
mm,
affect all of us. And that's why every single person should care, including more affluent people that are living in larger cities.
mm. I love your answer. It's hard. My question is But you can channel too. That's very great indeed. So, and also, have you been travel to Asia or outside USA?
I've been outside the USA. I've been to Spain. I went to Madrid and Barcelona. I've also been to Paris, Amsterdam, and I've been to Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory, but it is very different culture-wise than the mainlands. But other than that, those are the only places I've been to. I've never gotten the opportunity to travel to an Asian country. I would absolutely love to. My brother has actually been to Thailand and he really enjoyed it, thought it was such a beautiful place, absolutely adored the food. So I would love to take a trip there. Absolutely. That's on my bucket list. Whenever traveling is safe again, that's something I'm aiming towards.
Right, welcome, welcome, Savannah, and also Savannah, because you has been experienced traveling abroad. From your experience, have you ever noticed the difference about environment problem or actually environment scene that you notice in somewhere else and in South Carolina? Have you
Um,
ever compared?
Yes, I have noticed a difference in one of the countries that I visited compared to South Carolina and America in general. Amsterdam was really fascinating. They bike so much. I mean, there are huge, I guess, clumps of people that bike to work. And not only does it, reduce the amount of traffic issues, but that's so many less emissions from vehicles. They're using a green option to get to work, their bicycle. And I think that's really interesting. And Amsterdam, because they are so vulnerable to being for the rising sea levels covering them in water, they're really implementing green plans to make sure that they are getting rid of fossil fuels. I think by 2030 is when they want to have completely gotten rid of fossil fuels and moved more into electric vehicles. I think they're going to ban fossil fuel cars actually at a certain point. They're in the process of phasing them out. And it's really cool to see an entire country really create meaningful change and do something like implement a phase out of fossil fuel cars. That's such a big deal. That's such a big step. I know here in America, I think people would absolutely freak out if the president said, we're implementing a phase out in the next 10 years, we will no longer be using fossil fuel cars. So to see the country get on board, to see the government create action, that's really inspirational. I'd love to see my country take a nod from the Netherlands.
Right, and also Savannah, United Nations mentioned a lot over the years about sustainable development goal. Okay, so if I would love you to add some idea about environment improvement in to be in line with the idea of United Nations sustainable development goal. So what would you say or what kind of initiative that you would love to add to help promote sustainable development goal of United Nations?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that. What did you say?
I mean, United Nations promote a lot and also spread the message about the sustainable development goal. Okay, like make the world a better place. So, if you have a chance to promote your advocacy about environment, what kind of step or what kind of initiative that you would love to add to help promote UN um, sustainable development goal.
So you're asking if I could speak to the United Nations about what I would like to implement for
Yeah,
worldwide change for the
if you
environment.
can.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I understand. So something I'm really interested in is making use of the waste in landfills. There are companies that can make an entire road out of textile waste. There are companies that can make bricks out of textile waste and plastic waste that you can build roads and houses out of. I think it's such an interesting idea. I mean, we need to cut down on waste, but we have all of this trash and we have these huge landfills. I think it's so cool and so interesting to find a way to take that trash and turn it into a use instead of producing more where we're pumping greenhouse gases into the air and we have this consumerism overproduction problem. This kind of is a way to solve that and get rid of our landfill waste. So I would love to see the United Nations get together and decide that this is something we're going to implement worldwide. We're going to work together as countries and make sure that we're funding companies and we're working towards having companies that can take this trash and make a useful product out of it so that we can start getting the landfills cleaned up, but also start cutting down on production of items.
Wow. Thank you indeed for your answer. That's very great answer. And also, you have been artist, and I'm wondering, you actually into fashion as well, like clothing.
Oh, do I love fashion? I do
Yes.
love fashion. I can't sew though. That is one skill I really wish that I had. I would absolutely love to be able to make my own costumes. I'm a really big fan of a show called RuPaul's Drag Race. And on
Mm,
that show, a lot of them create their own fashions, and the things that they come up with, you would never find in a store. I'm also pretty hard to fit. Here in the States, there really aren't a lot of clothes that are small enough for me. So I have to get almost everything altered or, sometimes even go to the kids section for a shirt or something. So if I could sew my own outfits and make my own fashions, I would love to do that. But that's not a skill I've learned yet, but I am planning on working on that in the future. I do love clothes in general. I love to thrift shop. I love vintage clothing. Thrift shopping is one of the most fun ways to be environmental. I love looking for a good find or something unique. So I absolutely do love fashion. I'm just not excellent at making it myself.
right. Savannah, I would love to know about your viewpoint on um, some fashions that still use of that still use material with made out of animal like fur or the living being. Would you agree or would you be against?
Against fur?
Yep.
Yeah, I just don't think it makes sense in modern society. I think honestly, if you have a vintage piece of fur that is already in existence, I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with buying a piece of fur that's been sold by an individual. But as far as supporting a company that actively, farms animals for the purpose of their hide, I think that that really doesn't have a place in modern society, and it's not responsible, and it's not good for biodiversity. Just since 1970 to 2016, our animals and our biodiversity within our animal kingdom has decreased by like 68%, which is a massive number. And I feel like trophy hunting and using hides and things like ivory on elephants, just trying to take animals and turn them into fashion is a little bit outdated and doesn't really have a place in modern society. So I don't necessarily support it. But again, if something is vintage that's already been produced, and you're not supporting that company itself, and you are making use instead of allowing that animal to have passed in vain, you are making use of that material. But absolutely not supporting modern, newly manufactured fur companies.
Right, and also we all knew for the last couple of years there's growing a call for um, to promote the customer buying the product which is it made out of animal testing process. So would you agree about bans on some product with still conduct animal testing?
Yeah, I do. I also think that we're way past that in our modern society. I don't think it makes sense to abuse animals and put them at risk. I mean, we're testing products on them. And a lot of times when you're experimenting with a new material, you have no idea how it's going to affect that animal, what it's going to do to that animal, how it could possibly deform or hurt that animal for the rest of its life. It seems sad, tragic, unfair, obviously inhumane. I don't support that at all.
Right. Okay. So, do you have like, if I would love you like, if you be on the stand, okay, if you be on the stage and you got a mic, and what kind of message now that would you would love to say to the audience? Any, it can be any,
Any message? Do you mean any environmental message?
any. It can be environment or it wouldn't be. It's up to you. I would love to know your idea and your mind at the moment.
I would really like to talk about the rising sea levels and global warming. I know we talk about it all the time, but the developments that and the science are moving so fast that I don't know if a lot of people are aware that we really are at risk of losing pieces of our entire country. And that means people's homes and our history. And I want to bring that to people's attention because I think that would help them feel the urge to act more in their own lives. And another thing I'm really interested in is I really want to stress how important doing research is. Something I've learned as Miss South Carolina Earth is that action is always supposed to be your second step. Research should be your first step. If you act without researching, you could accidentally contribute to the problem that you're trying to solve. So I want to stress how important it is to research, even if it's something you've been taught or you've always heard. Still go and do the research because sometimes, as well meaning as it is, there is information out there. Like an example, something I've learned is that when we recycle, we assume that we've saved those materials from the landfill. We did the right thing and we recycled. But what I actually learned is that whether or not an item is recycled is based on whether or not there is a market for that material.
Mm,
So so if there isn't a market for that material, even if it is recyclable, it's going to end up in a landfill. So by
yes.
doing that little bit of research, now you do your recycling, you figure out what item you recycle the most that doesn't have a market and separate that out. Go about your recycling as usual and then get on the internet and do some research. Find a company that does have a use for that material because there's so many amazing environmental companies popping up that have a way to make use out of materials that aren't as easy to recycle. And then you can start sending that product to that company so they can make use of it. It's barely added any extra work to your daily life. You know, you recycle every week as usual, and then maybe every couple months you send that material off to the company that you found. So you've done a little bit of research, you've barely added any work to your life, but you've made a huge impact. You've made that same gesture that you were already doing more meaningful by doing the research first.
Mm. Oh, I really love this point. Mind you, if I take a couple of minutes to translate, because I think it's very good idea. Because I think, what you suggest is how to make it work. Okay, like when you're going to do something, it's not only about the action, but it's like prioritize. Okay, so I think it's a very good idea. Um, สวัสดีครับแฟนๆคืออันเนี้ยเดี๋ยวโก้จะแปลนิดนึงนะโก้ชอบ point นี้มากๆเลยของคุณสว a นนานะครับ first of all before I translating in Thai just say hi to Linel okay hello Linel
Hey,
um,
Linnell.
like she very nice and she sort of a guardian of the of the Earth program everywhere and also fans. Hi, Ralph. Thank you for coming and watching. Okay, so okay, I would love to translate a nice message from Savannah to Thai fans. คืออย่างนี้นะคะคุณซา v วนนาเนี่ยก็ถามนะตะเกียว่าถ้าสมมติตอนเนี้ยนะคุณซา v วนนาอยู่บนเวทีแล้วก็มีไมค์อยู่เนี่ยมีอะไรที่พูดเนี่ยในใจอยากจะพูดได้คุณซา v วนนาบอกว่าเนี่ยถ้าให้พูดนะอยากจะพูดเรื่อง sea level ก็คือว่าระดับน้ำทะเลเนี่ยที่มันสูงขึ้นนะคะมันมาจาก global warming เพราะว่าคุณซา v วนนาเนี่ยอยู่ที่ South Carolina ซึ่งเป็นเมืองชายฝั่งแล้วก็ประสบปัญหานี้มากคราวนี้เนี่ยในหลายๆที่ในช่วงการสัมภาษณ์ในช่วงต้นเนาะคุณซา v วนนาเนี่ยเขาเป็นคนฉลาดและเป็นคนที่อ่านเยอะเขารู้กระทั่งว่าเมืองไทยเนี่ยในอีกประมาณ40กว่าปีถึง100ปีนะคะก็คือมันก็จะจมคือชายฝั่งประมาณ17น่ะถ้าก็ฟังไม่ผิดนะ17หรือ70%เนี่ยก็คือจะหายไปมันมาจาก global warming คราวนี้เนี่ยคุณเซเวน่าก็พูดว่าอยากจะให้เน้นว่าในทุกๆปัญหาของสิ่งแวดล้อมนะในทุกปัญหาสิ่งแวดล้อมที่เรากำลังมุ่งไปแก้ไขนะคะหรือดำเนินการเนี่ยใช่เราต้องลงมือทำ take action ใช่แต่สิ่งที่คุณเซเวน่าเรียนรู้แล้วก็สังเกตนะคะก็คือเราต้องศึกษาเราต้อง research ต้อง research first นะคะค คือต้องหาข้อมูลวิจัยชัดๆก่อนว่าทำอย่างเงี้ยแล้วมันได้ผลยังไงมันได้ผลไหมคือถ้าสมมุติแบบบางทีเราคิดว่าอย่างนี้มันดีหรือว่าบางทีเห็นว่าในโลกเนี่ยเขาใช้วิธีนี้ทำใช่ไหมแล้วก็มีสื่อออกเยอะพอเราทำบางทีมันอาจจะไม่เวิร์กคราวนี้เนี่ยเราลองมานั่งคิดเราต้องมาดูข้อมูลศึกษาให้ชัดเจนว่าถ้าเราทำอย่างเงี้ยมันได้ผลยังไงเพราะว่าคุณซา v าน่าเนี่ยมาค้นพบว่าบางทีการที่reuse เนาะ material เนี่ยคือมันก็เกี่ยวกับ marketing ด้วยคือถ้าสมมุติว่าเราreuse แบบเราไม่รู้เป้าหมายว่าเนี่ย reuse แล้วของอันเนี้ย reuse แล้วมันขายได้ไหมมันไปผันแปรอะไรได้ไหมมันเกิดมูลค่าไหมแล้วมันทำให้อินดัสทรีมัน grow ไหม recycling คือคราวนี้ถ้าสมมุติเราไม่ได้ศึกษาตรงเนี้ยเราไปแบบโอเคเอาอันเนี้ยมา reuse เอาอันนี้ไป reuse อะไรเงี้ยมันก็คือไม่ได้เกิดประโยชน์กับการลดมลพิษสิ่งแวดล้อมคราวนี้เนี่ยคุณเซเวน่าก็เลยให้ข้อคิดว่าอยากให้ความสำคัญเลยกับทุกคนเนาะไม่ว่าจะทุกปัญหาไม่ใช่เฉพาะสิ่งแวดล้อมคือจะทำอะไรก็ตามเราต้องสืบค้นข้อมูลก่อนศึกษาก่อนเมื่อเราสืบค้นข้อมูลเรียบร้อยศึกษาเรียบร้อยเราลงมือทำอันเนี้ยมันจะเกิดประสิทธิภาพประสิทธิผลอย่างมากซึ่งก็มองว่าโอ้โหมันลึกนะคุณเซเวน่าเนี่ยให้ข้อคิดที่ดีมากๆเลยตรงเนี้ยก็เลยขอคุณเซเวน่าแปลนะครับตรงนี้เนาะเดี๋ยวก็จะถามนิดนึง so Savannah I'm Thai and I'm living in Thailand and it's true indeed we aware of a lot of our land going to sink in the next couple decades. So and also we still like far away from environmental awareness. So you also residing in the coastal state of South Carolina. So would you have any message or any recommendation for Thai to stay aware of the sea level problem that would may arise sooner than we expected if we wouldn't be aware of our environmental problem?
I think the best thing you can do is, again, do your research and be aware of what you're doing in your own life that may be contributing to the greenhouse gas issues. If everyone can just make small differences in their lives that help us cut down on the production of greenhouse gas and it being pumped into the air, that in itself is what is causing global warming. So logically, that would help reduce the rate at which global warming is happening. So just looking at your own lives and kind of asking yourself, is what I'm doing sustainable? Am I making as good a choices as I possibly could? And if you're not, take a look at that, do some more research and figure out what things you can replace in your life and what you can do different. And also fight for change. Speak up and use your voice and ask your government to implement legislative change that can help create real differences in your community, in your country. And don't give up the fight. Keep pushing forward and keep putting pressure on them. I feel like a lot of times we're not listened to at first, but it's when we're persistent, it's when we put our voices together and make one loud voice as a group that we really get heard. So I think remaining hopeful, doing your research and changing your life as much as you can to help benefit the environment instead of help add to the problem.
Right. Also, I would love to know why you're so passionate to be possible Miss Earth USA.
I just really love what I do. I love this work. I love my projects. There hasn't been something in my life that makes me get up in the morning and feel so excited and
Mm,
feel so hopeful. Also, being around all of these women in the Miss Earth USA pageant that are working so hard, that feel the same way that I do, that have projects and are trying to address these issues. It's really inspiring. It's showing me that there are other women out there and other people my age that are doing their part, and that gives you hope. And on the state level, I've enjoyed this so much and I feel like I'm great at it. I feel like I'm good at what I'm doing. So to be Miss Earth USA, that's the next step. I get to take everything I'm doing and do it on a grander scale and a more impactful scale. Also, the people that you get to meet and the resources that you have access to help create change are unbelievable. There are so few opportunities in life for a woman, especially for an artist like me, to be an ecological leader. This is one of those opportunities. And as a 27-year-old who will be turning 28 on January 20th, this is my last year of eligibility, and I want the opportunity to lead. I want to be that ecological guardian. And I'm going to do everything I can to try to convince the judges that I'm an excellent choice for Miss Earth USA.
Right. So, what about on the global level? What would you going to make? I mean, what change you going to make if one day you're being selected as a Miss Earth?
As Miss Earth, the big one, um, I think we talked about this. I definitely want to start looking into the idea of growing my textile waste project to include other textiles other than denim. But at the root of Jeans for Teens, it's also a landfill diversion project. And that is something I really want to tackle. Like, I want to work with those companies we mentioned that are making roads and bricks out of some of the waste that we have. I want to create a project similar to Jeans for Teens that does what Jeans for Teens is doing, but with waste in the landfill, because it's all over our world. It's in so many countries. This is a project that could really make positive change for everyone, no matter where they're from.
Right. So, would you imagine the situation that we have to live side by side with COVID-19 for a very long time? So, what would you suggest to people, including me? How should we respond to the world with COVID-19 while preserving our earth?
That's where things like Jeans for Teens are so excellent, projects that you can do remotely. So if in the project I have groups that get involved, like I mentioned, but also individuals have donated jeans as well. And that's a mail-in situation or a pickup where they can leave their box of denim on their doorstep and I go and get it. There's no contact involved in that, and they're still making a difference for the environment. Also, my one woman cleanup team, everybody can get out there in the open air where it's a lot safer and do a cleanup by themselves. You're not exposing yourself to COVID and you're not exposing others to you. And it's responsible, it's safe, and you're still getting to advocate and keep working for the environment without putting yourself at risk.
Right. Applause.
Thank you.
So also, we're going to the end. Savannah, would you like to say something nice to all the fans worldwide to follow you and to help promote your initiative that you present in the contest?
Yes. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming and watching this interview. It's so nice to be able to speak to audiences that I don't normally have access to. And if you really are interested in what I'm saying about Jeans for Teens or my Glendale Shoals cleanup, then please come over to my Instagram page. It is Miss South Carolina Earth. You can see it there on the screen, and give me a follow. I really try to reply to everyone who leaves a comment, everyone that sends me a message. I really love to let anyone that shows me support know that I see you and I appreciate it more than you know. I really don't take it for granted. I don't take the kind words for granted, the comments, the likes. They mean a lot to me. I've never been somebody that has gotten a lot of attention or ever been used to getting this much attention. So it's really not something I take for granted. I'm not jaded by it. It's just, it feels amazing to be supported, especially by so many people all over the world, people I've never met. I mean, it's just so kind. So come give me a follow. Let's be friends. Let's have a conversation. And you can learn about Jeans for Teens and my other projects. And if you want to get involved, you'll find all the information you need right on my Instagram.
Wow. Okay. So, what about me, Savannah?
Pardon?
What about me and my program? Might you spread your kind message to all the fans and your family to
Oh,
help
yes.
promote
Everybody,
that
please,
platform?
please follow. Let's see, it's K. What is the name of the program?
Um,
KP1 Worldwide.
yes, that's correct.
Yes. And if you go to my Instagram, I've actually tagged the host here in in the announcement poster letting you guys all know that this interview was happening today. So if you go to that story, you'll see her Instagram handle and you can click it. Give her a follow so that you can keep up with all the different pageant girls and the pageant system and the Miss Earth girls and what we're talking about these days. I really enjoyed this show. She asked the tough questions, so you're going to want to follow her and hear the really good answers and the great information.
But I think, the tougher questions you encounter, the better you become in the coronation night, or actually in the Miss Earth USA journey. Okay, and I wish you going to do really well. All right, you really tremendously smart. Okay, and hardworking indeed on your advocacy and very determined because you're very focused on what you're doing. Okay, you never been out of line. You try to get me into your main course. Okay, like a teen for gene, a gene for teen. Okay, so all my fans, please follow Savannah Bethea, Miss South Carolina Earth 2020 22 USA, and support her pageant journey in Miss USA, which going to be done in January, I think. So it's very close, very close. So give her support and like Savannah said, please give her comments and share some idea and get more information about her advocacy. So anything that you can ask, she very open-minded and very receive of the comment and very nice to give you a response as well because according to my own experience with her. I'm very impressed. Okay, so support her. All right. Just say hi another fans before we going. Mark
Hey,
Russell.
Mark. I've
Girl.
been noticing you commenting on my Instagram, and I've been seeing that you've been watching a lot of my interviews. So I really appreciate it. And make sure you follow the host of this interview. Go to my story, click her handle, and give her a follow. She's a great interviewer. I think you'll really love her other videos.
Oh, thank you indeed, and thank you, Mark. I noticed you because all along, whenever I interview Miss Earth, you always give me support. I do admire. Okay, I'm overjoyed for your support me here in my program. So all the fans worldwide, thank you indeed for joining the show today in the morning in Asia and also in the night in USA in South Carolina. I wish that everyone enjoy and definitely please support and follow Savannah birthday advocacy and her journey in Miss USA. I'm very impressed all experience that I share with her. She's so intelligent indeed. Okay, so please follow her at her IG again. Okay, Miss South Carolina Earth. Okay, again assign Miss South Carolina Earth, and also don't forget me admin co. Please give me your support at KP1 Worldwide, Facebook, and YouTube and Twitter, the same name, KP1 Worldwide. And just click like and follow me at my IG, Go Panasa as well, according to the banner, Land Bureau. And thank you especially to my honorable guest tonight in USA, Savannah Berte. I'm very glad indeed when you first take my invitation. Okay, I wish you going to fly high in your contest in Mrs. USA, and thank you to share everything and a lot of good idea and very knowledgeable, especially at sea level. It's very it's a big threat indeed in Thailand. Okay, that's true. I confirm that she know exactly what she doing. So you got the right person to talk with about environment. Okay. Thank you, Indy Savannah. And see you. Thank you, all the fans worldwide. And gracias. And see you again for the next episode. Thank you. สวัสดีครับ
Thank you.